On the afternoon of December 10th, 2018, my girlfriend at the time and myself, we were chatting about Christmas coming up and we wanted to get into the Christmas atmosphere. We decided to maybe go somewhere and do some Christmas shopping, somewhere Christmassy. There is no more Christmassy town in the world than Strasbourg in France. It's the capital of Christmas. It has that Christkindl area, what's it called, Christkindlesmarkt or something, in the centre where everybody strolls and does shopping and looks in the windows and drinks hot chocolate and all of that. So we make plans to go the following day. And we book tickets for a very early train. Figure we'll get up nice, bright and early, head off, probably roll into Strasbourg sometime in the early afternoon, mid-afternoon-ish. Do our shopping, walk around, hold hands, do all that lovely stuff couples do around Christmas in a beautiful place like Strasbourg. Drink hot chocolate, etc. Have dinner somewhere, get a hotel, stay there for the night. But later that evening, we got into a little bit of a tiff. We were having dinner. It was December 10th, the night before we were supposed to go. And she started into me about, I can't remember what, the usual stuff. Everything that's wrong with Oisin, you know? Long list, apparently. And I wasn't in the mood. I had a few drinks in me. I wasn't in the mood. I just told her to go F herself. Like, I'm not putting up with this. So she got really mad. Yeah, so she was like, asshole, get out of here. And she kicked me out. I wound up in a hotel room for the night. Not the first time, and certainly not the last. And needless to say, Strasbourg didn't happen the following day because she was so mad at me. So I woke up in a hotel room the next day, went out, met some friends, wound up having spritz, early evening spritz with some friends, and they were asking me, what are you going to do? Are you going to call her? Are you going to go back? I'm like, nah, maybe I'll just do another day in the hotel. But on my phone, this notice comes up. News flash. BBC News. A man, his name escapes me now, not that I really want to remember his name, walked into the Christmas area right there, the Christkindlesmarkt or whatever, in the centre of Strasbourg with a gun and just started shooting indiscriminately in every direction at the shoppers and the couples and the people at the cafes and stuff. And he kills 5 and seriously injured 12. And I took a snapshot of that and I texted it to the girlfriend. And I said, you know what, maybe your Irish boyfriend's assholeness just saved your life. And she wrote back to me, oh my God, I was thinking the same thing. I just saw the news. We would have been right there right now. That's exactly where we would have been strolling and shopping. Who knows? It was a terrorist attack. They eventually got the guy. He fled, but there was a big shootout and they killed him. So she goes, it's funny with you. I can always tell there's something up, even when you're being an asshole. And I was like, yeah. Believe it or not, this is not the first time that me being a bit of a dickhead has saved my life and other people's lives that I know. She said, really? Guys, this is my story of 9/11, 2001, New York City. Welcome back to the Timeless Watch channel, guys, where I normally talk about watches. Truth is, I talk about whatever the hell I want to talk about. And today is one of those days. I won't really be talking about watches at all, I'm afraid. If you're a normal viewer of the channel and that's all you're interested in, I'll at least tell you what I'm wearing. I'm wearing the 116610LV from Rolex, better known as the Hulk. Loving this watch, great one. But seeing as it's been 20 years to the day of that terrible tragedy in New York, I figured I'd talk about my experience. The whole world knows what happened that day, so there's no need for me to tell you. You know, what I saw was what you guys saw. Maybe you saw it on TV. I saw it in the flesh. But I can tell you the kind of whole setting for me and how I kind of narrowly escaped being in those towers. I had met a girl here in Italy, actually. After myself and my daughter's mom parted ways. She was from Bassano, maybe if you know the channel well, that gorgeous little town where I did the episode on the no date Submariner. This watch, but black and no date complication. Cute little town, very Christmassy there too, as a matter of fact. And we were getting kind of serious, I guess. But I was still in the throes of the breakup with my daughter's mom. It's very heartbreaking when there's a child in the middle of that. And then the band decided to leave Italy, go back to Ireland. And we did a gig in Dublin. And just by sheer chance, a guy who was in the music industry happened to walk in. He asked someone, where's the best pint of Guinness in the area? He was there for the weekend with his girlfriend. Somebody pointed him towards the White Horse Inn. Not sure if it's still there. And because it was an excellent pint. And we happened to be playing. And he saw us and said, I want to bring these guys to New York. So within, I don't know how many months went by, we were headed to New York. But I was still in contact with this girl, this Italian from Bassano. And she wanted to come over to New York. So she says that she can get time off work. She's an architect. She can get time off work early September. How is that for coming over to New York? I'm like, sure. This was probably in June or something. This is a real planner, this girl. Like, she would plan stuff way ahead of time. I'm not like that. I do everything last minute, haphazard kind of person. And she makes plans to travel. I think she flew in on the 5th of September or something. But in the meantime, those months had gone by and I'm gigging in New York. I'm young, I'm handsome, and I'm gigging. What does that mean? I'm meeting lots of girls. Actually, not as many as you might think. It was all about the music. It was all about getting signed to a record label, which we hadn't been yet. And wow, this is a cool little spot. I believe that's a hospital in there. It's kind of ugly, but this is a nice little quiet spot here. People parking their boats. So I met this blonde from California, gorgeous girl, fun, bubbly, vivacious. One might say a simple girl, you know, not complex person, but very light-hearted, very fun, and a big heart. Very nice person, and a knockout, beautiful girl. And I met her at the end of August, days before this other girl was supposed to come. And I didn't really know what was going to happen with that, or if it was going anywhere. And I found myself in a tough spot thinking, what do I do? Do I tell the other girl not to come? But maybe, I don't know. Maybe if she arrives, I see her again, we hang out, it'll remind me why there was a thing in the first place, maybe. Who knows? But the way it worked out is she was coming, and there was nothing going to stop her. She was very determined on locking me in. She wasn't going to take no for an answer, so she came. And by then, I was hanging out with this other girl. So I'm still like, I want to do the right thing. So I meet her at the airport, pick her up, bring her to my place. We go out for a drink. And I carefully explain to her that, listen, it's great to see you. I'll show you around New York. We'll do all the stuff you want to see. You've never been to New York. Let's go and see all the sights. But I don't know if we're an item. You know, I'm not sure how I feel, basically. Sounds terrible now that I'm repeating it. And I say, listen, you can sleep in my bed, I'll sleep on the couch. It's not really appropriate that we sleep together, considering the circumstances. This is a great little garden. I love this spot up here. Look at that. And there are two little statuettes. Cute, isn't it? A garden in here. You know you're doing well when you have a garden in the town that doesn't have any gardens. Anyway, so I'm being a gentleman. I'm bringing her around, but of course I'm navigating this issue. The American, the Californian, she's into it. So I don't want to scare her off saying, oh, this skinny, gorgeous Italian just arrived that I used to sleep with. That's going to scare a California girl away, right? You don't want to say that. And I also don't want to tell the Italian when I'm seeing the other girl. I'm kind of slipping off, being a bit of a dick, sneaky, and saying, oh, I have to go to work. I was working at the time, besides the band stuff. I had a bit of a day job in with Dainese, the guys who make the motorcycle apparel. They had a place down on Lafayette. Oh, here's a wine spot. Nice. So I was going down there. I was their computer tech. I built their computer system. And, you know, I was lying to the Italians sometimes. Oh, I'm working late, or, you know, I've got to skip off to work. But I was actually going off to meet the California girl. So it was juggling. It was a juggling act. And in the mornings, she wants to get up, the Italian. She wants to get up. Obviously, she's sitting up on the Italian clock. So she's awake at 6 a.m. She wants to go out and do stuff. She wants to see spots. She has her plans for every day. Very organized girl. So she's waking me up early going, come on, I'm hungry, I want to get something to eat. I want to go down to Times Square and see that, and I want to go to this place and that place. I'm like, okay. And I'm being extra accommodating with those things because I kind of feel bad. So I want to bring her around as much as possible. So I'm up early in the mornings. She's dragging me all over the place. And one day we go downtown, way down, financial district, where I ended up living actually just before I moved here. And we see the World Trade Center. We're right there. There's a photo, I'll see if I can find it, of her that I took of her right in front of, I think, the South Tower. And then we're walking around and I bring her back to the office, Dainese office, because there's a rooftop there. The office was right by David Bowie's apartment, actually, right opposite it on Lafayette and Prince Street. So a little bit north of the trade center, obviously. But I bring her on the roof. It's nighttime. I bring her up there. We're looking at the beautiful trade center. It's, at night it kind of glimmers, or it glimmered. And I said, I've never actually been up. Never actually gone up there. You can go up onto the top and look at New York City. We should go up. And she goes, that's a great idea. Let's do that tomorrow. I'm like, okay, that's tomorrow's plan. We'll be up bright and early. We'll head downtown. We'll go up the trade center. While we're at it, maybe we'll go up the Empire State or head out and see the Statue of Liberty or something. That evening, I drop her back to my house, and then I get a text from California girl. She's like, hey, what are you doing? We're all gone for drinks. She's staying in Long Island City with a mutual friend of ours, Joe, great guy, New Yorker. And she's like, Joe and his girlfriend are going out and I'm going out with them. Come meet us for a late drink. By then, Italian girl's already fallen asleep because she's still on her Italian clock. So she's dozing off. So I take the opportunity and I slip out. Because I want to go see California girl. So I meet them at a bar, and we're all having a laugh. And I'm thinking, I'll have a few drinks, hang out, and then I'll go back home. And that way the other girl can't get mad, right? This is a nice little square here. Well, this is nice. I've never seen this place before. Should come back and have dinner here later. Very cute. And of course, as always, a little well. So I figured I'll come back. I'll slip in. Italian girl will never know I disappeared all night. But of course, I'm out with California girl and my other friends, and we're drinking and we're having a laugh and all of that. We're having a lot of fun, and I wind up back in her place. So it occurs to me at some point during the drunken slumber, you're being an asshole, you should go back. She's going to wake up, you're not going to be there, and then there's going to be a ton of questions. But I pass out with California girl. I pass out there with her. And needless to say, the other girl wakes up in the morning. That's amazing. Look at that. Look at this church face, completely wasted. Like a magnificent thing. And kind of no real way to really see it in its full glory. Amazing. I'm not there in the morning when she wakes up. She comes out of the bedroom. Oisin's not on the couch. Where is he? We're supposed to head off and do our New York stuff today. Go down to the Trade Center. I'm passed out on the floor. And California girl has actually already left. She got up early and went to work. She was working in Macy's at the Lancome section, the makeup section in Macy's. So she was gone. And so was Joe's girlfriend. She had also gone to work. So me and Joe are snoring away. And then the phone rings. And it's the old style, you know, with the voice message. You can hear the voice message being left. And it's Joe's girlfriend calling from work. And she's like, pick up the phone, pick up the phone. A plane flew into the Trade Center. So the two of us wake up, we hear this frantic thing. And Joe answers. And she's like, oh my God, it's crazy. I can see it from my office window. And we turn on the TV. It was ridiculous. It reminds me of that scene in Ocean's 11, which I just mentioned the other day. Coincidence. I think, what's the actor's name? He's brilliant. He's like looking at the demolishing of one of the hotels on the TV, and it's right outside the window behind him. This is exactly like that.
Ha fatto un win da 3 e l'ha fallito lo stesso. È chiaro? Il contratto l'abbiamo fatto insieme. Però avevo fatto col telefono su 159 per avere informazioni.
That's me when I'm that age. Shouting at me mates at the bar. So we're looking at it on the TV when it's not right outside the window, but it's easy to get to see it. And Joe says, oh Sheen, come on, let's get up on the roof. Let's get up on the roof and we can see it from there. So we climb up. He has this ladder thing. And we climb up the ladder thing. We get out onto the roof. And the moment I get up, I come out onto the roof. And then I kind of find my orientation, like which way am I facing? And I turn around and I just see fireball. It was the exact moment that the second plane hit. And myself and Joe stood there for the following, seemed like an eternity, but I guess it was an hour and a half, whatever it was. And watched them burn. Watched all the tragedy, watched everything happen. We were in Long Island City, so it wasn't like we were right there next to it, but we could see it all pretty clearly. It's a very bright and clear day. I remember Joe, he was in tears. That when the first building fell, he was in tears. I mean, New York is his town. He grew up there. He's an actual New Yorker. I wasn't sad yet. It was too fascinating. It's hard to explain, but the spectacle of it was so enormous and so terrifying and beyond otherworldly, basically. I was just kind of, there was too much, oh my God, wow, what on earth is happening, for me to think in that moment. I mean, I knew people were dying right then. But for one, the landmark was not mine. I still was fairly new to New York, so the emotions hadn't hit me yet, but they were hitting Joe pretty hard already, and I was hugging him. And the first tower fell, he was just like, I can't believe it. Like, he grew up looking at those buildings his whole life. And now there's only one. And I said, Joe, take your last look, because the other one's gonna come down. He's like, no way, man. No way. And I was like, why would they blow up one and not blow up? I mean, at the time we didn't, we don't know anything yet. We're just watching it in real time, so we didn't know that it was a failure of the structure of the building. Many people would argue with that too, and there's all that conspiracy stuff, but let's leave that aside for a moment. I just figured they set up the stage, they flew in the aeroplanes, and then they took it out from underneath or whatever. It was a big plan. So I said, well, why would they do one and not do the other? This looks like a dead end, so I'm just going to turn around. I was like, why would they do one and not do the other, Joe? They're going to do the other. It's twin towers and twin attacks. I don't see why the other one's not coming down. He was like, don't say that, man. It's not going to happen. I'm like, I hope it doesn't, but I have a feeling it will, man. And eventually we just stopped talking. We just watched in silence. There was nothing else to say. One Trade Center. It's just you're so used to seeing the two together. Just seeing one left, it was like a missing tooth or something, It was just, and then of course, big cloud of dust and smoke moving slowly across the East River towards Brooklyn. And look over here. This looks like there's no one around. Get a little bit of peace and quiet. Everybody's got their boats all parked up now that the weather's beginning to cool off. I guess people aren't using their boats as much. So we just stood there in amazement, but silence. And we watched, and then eventually that moment came, and the second one started falling, and I said to Joe, I just said, there she goes. And Joe's just in tears. By the time I got back, there was no more trains. Everything was shut down. I had to walk back. We were staying in Astoria. Eventually, all these messages start coming through on my phone, because of course things were blocked and there was no messages coming through. Where are you? I got up this morning. You're not here. I'm scared. What's happening? I'm watching this on the TV. She was actually there with God, this just came to mind. There was someone else staying in the house, the father of my brother's girlfriend, Ottavia Buzia, the woman who eventually married Anthony Bourdain. She was living with us at the time, and because she was with my brother. We brought her to America. That was the whole point. We were going to America as a band, and she followed her boyfriend. Then eventually they split up, and she met Anthony Bourdain and married him, and I guess she's the success story of the band. Oh, this is cute. I've never seen this before. Oh, that's lovely. Oh, it's a hotel. Hotel Tiziano. I had no idea. That is cute and really tucked away here in a nice peaceful area. Wow. Great. Good to know. So, Ottavia's father was in town. He's a dentist, I believe. Or was it? No, she studied dentistry. Anyway, he was a doctor, a medic of some sort. He didn't speak a word of English. And he was supposed to fly home that day. He had been there for a week to see his daughter. And, of course, couldn't fly. He wound up sitting there for an extra week, looking at the TV with the images over and over and over again, not really understanding what any of the reporters are saying. Poor guy. But Italian girl, obviously terrified and shaken and confused. So I get back and we go down to a little bar down the road for a drink. I she doesn't ask me. God bless her. She doesn't ask me where are you. I guess she could figure it out. I of course do the usual male bullshit, you know, trying to cover my ass, backpedal. Oh, I ended up staying with my friend Joe and la 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 la. She's like, yeah, I wasn't born yesterday. Thanks very much. Well, we go down there. She has a few more days, of course. Now she's stuck in New York. Her flight's getting pushed back, etc., etc. And I've got to be a gentleman and just like bring her to a few places. But now New York is... it was so weird going downtown. I mean, you couldn't go below 14th Street. There was military everywhere and stuff. But actually, you couldn't go below Houston. It wasn't 14. It was Houston. And below, you couldn't go down. So I spent a lot of time down in Bleecker Street, West Village. Being a musician, that's where you're hanging out all the time. That's where all the music cats hang. So I bring her down there, and it was so weird the following days seeing bars and restaurants all open, but just no one in them. And everyone a little bit speechless. Just speechless. Like, what do we do now? Do we open our cafe? Do we continue with life as usual? Someone tell us what to do, you know? So we had a conversation, and she proceeded to tell. She was very disappointed. She realized she was going back to Italy empty-handed. She wanted to marry this guy. At the last minute, it seems he fell for someone else. She could feel it slipping through her fingers, and it was just breaking her heart. And of course, what could I do? I mean, all you can do is say sorry and try and be a gentleman. Of course, the more gentleman you are about it, the worse it is, because then they see you being nice, and they, you know, it's almost better to be horrible, and that way they turn their sadness into anger, and it gives them a new, you know, a new vibe with which to approach the whole thing. Is this a bunch of ducks? No way. Look at this. Hey, duckies. Is this where you all live? What is going on? Am I walking into your territory here? Taxi driver just bored, checking his phone. So I'm having this conversation with her, and she's telling me how selfish I am and all of this stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna have to sit it and eat humble pie, you know, eat a shit sandwich, as they say, take it like a man. And it kind of occurs to me, I tried to change the subject a bit and talk about everything that just happened to the city, to the world, really. And I said, do you know what? In years to come, you're going to forget about the heartbreak and all of that. But you're not going to forget this time, that day. And you should also remember that we were supposed to be down there that morning. Remember, she was getting me up early, bright and early, 6:30, 7 a.m. to go do stuff. We would have had a quick breakfast in a diner somewhere, and then we would have been down there. We may have even waited to have breakfast in the building, in the Windows of the World, or whatever it was called, that restaurant in the Trade Center. The one that Silverstein strangely didn't go to eat in that day. Out of all the days, I know. So much weird stuff. Look at these houses, these are cool. These guys have a lovely terrace. Someone's doing something right. Looks like there's a business there for parking boats or repairing boats. There's a lot of those down here. We would have been down there. We would have been in the building. had I stuck to my, kept my word and done the right thing, instead of being a sneaky little bastard, sneaky little horny Irish man running after a California blonde with long legs, which is what I was. And that saved my own life and hers. Anyway, a terrible day. I went into it was later that day, that bar we went to was a little Irish bar called McReilly's in Long Island City. Great place. I was there so many. I used to go there every day for dinner. Get my peas and my mashed potatoes. The old folk here. That's not Italian. That's hard dialect. It's unlikely any of those old folk can actually even speak Italian. Still speaking the old dialect from the region. Yeah, I went into McReilly's to get something that evening with the Italian girl, and a bunch of firefighters came in because there was a station there on 48th Ave and Vernon, between Vernon and 11th, right where I ended up living with that California girl. We moved in together eventually in Long Island City. Lived there for a few years together. And these firefighters walked in and they were just blank-faced. They had just spent the entire day down there. And they looked like zombies. They were just like someone, just pulled their soul out. And it was a friend of mine there, and he says to the bartender, he goes, "Can we get some drinks for the boys, And he's like, "Sorry, I had, such a rough day." And the guy, or something along those lines, I can't remember what he said, something warm. And one of the firefighters just looks at him, and he doesn't know if he's angry. Like he's thinking, God, is this guy angry? Is this guy going to say, "You don't know what we just went through," or something like that? There's a moment of tension, because he just stares at him, and he just walks towards him slowly, and just puts out his arms, hugs him, and as he hugs him, they grab each other like this. And with the slap of the hand, dust goes all over the place. Unbelievable. What those men went through. So, anyway, I'm not trying to make light of the day, obviously. And everybody has their story. But I just thought it was, in some way, interesting anecdote that me, being a bit of a selfish prick, saved that girl's life and saved my own. What a terrible day. We'll never forget it. And of course, all the terrible things that happened afterwards because of it, which in some ways dwarfed the event itself. Afghanistan, Iraq, etc., etc. Patriot Act. List is long. Anyway, that's my story, guys. You never know what's gonna save your ass. People always feel like like doing bad deeds or being a bad person won't pay off, but in my life, everything I do that's good goes punished, right? No good deed goes unpunished. And whenever I'm a bit of a selfish asshole, it seems to work out. I don't know what it was. Sheer coincidence, I guess. It's just a strange thing to think that that saved my life and saved hers. That girl, the Italian girl, married my best friend in the end. She had met my best friend one night when I needed him to mind her, like take care of her, bring her out for something to do, because I couldn't make it. I couldn't do it and I felt bad. Well, they had a great time. So by the time she realized it ain't happening with me, I guess they had already become friends. Now they're married with child. Funny how life works, huh? Thanks for watching the Timeless Watch channel. We'll never forget this terrible day. I certainly won't. I'll see you in the next one.